thecousinsweird. Hi, we're here, and we are on episode 40 on a very rainy, cold day, and we are finally back on track with our episodes, which makes me really excited. We're actually ahead of schedule, which puts a glimmer in my heart.
I know.
It makes me feel so productive and good.
Skipping my step.
Yes, we are ahead of schedule, so it makes life way easier on both of us because we have bumper room, you know, just to get our research done, to post our stuff, to edit everything. It gives me some bumper room, and it makes all the difference in my life.
Yeah, especially I like weekends are when I have free time.
Yeah.
So it gives me, like, I like to do my research on Saturday.
Yeah.
So this gives me, I don't feel as rushed.
Exactly.
So if I'm doing my research on Saturday and I don't get it finished,
you have time.
I still have a few days to finish it up.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Right. Because life is weird. You can't plan everything.
So
on top of having a job and children and life things.
So thank you for hanging in with us.
Yeah. And for being patient when we didn't, that 1 week we didn't have episodes. And for like 3 weeks before that, our episodes were coming out late in the week. And, it was a busy moment. But we got ourselves ahead of schedule. And now we're good. And we'll be good if we got it set. So our Monday, Thursday thing is set now.
Yes.
And it's crazy because we are a week in advance. So you're going to see a live for next week's Terrible Trends on when the previous week's is posted, which hurts my brain because it's like we're traveling in time.
Yes.
But we're really not. But I like to pretend we are.
Yes.
Yes. No. Anything new with you?
Oh, both my kids are homesick. They both have fevers.
Yeah.
It's like the summer of sickness. You know what's funny? One thing that always bothers me, like I am a big fan of Morbid, a true crime podcast, and I'm on a couple of like fan groups for them, and people complain about how Elaine is always sick or her kids are always sick. I'm like, you obviously don't have children. Or you obviously
must have the best immune system in the world because everyone's sick.
My kids, my youngest is 5, so this is her first year in school, and like she's in pre-K masked, so like she hasn't had a chance to really build up her immune system. And we've all been masked, so and masks are great. Don't get me wrong, I was not an anti-masker. No, it's fine. But
I did.
And now that like we're all getting sick because they're not wearing masks, which is technically a good thing because they're not like sick, like they're not going to die.
No.
It's awful when your kid has a fever because you want to help them, but it's just like their immune systems are playing catch up. Yeah. And so are ours.
Like, everyone is. And it wasn't like the other things weren't around. We just were protected because we had masks on, and now we don't have masks, so we're getting exposed.
It makes your brain think, maybe I should wear a mask all the time. And then you're like, no.
I can't.
Because I need to have a good immune system.
Yeah.
So it's like oh, man.
Vicious circle.
But I will say, like, when I'm at my job being an esthetician, like, I am, no matter what I'm doing, really, I'm, like, a foot away from your face. I'm breathing in your face the whole time. So I wear a mask at work now, and I probably will continue to do that just because I think it's safer. If I do end up being sick, then I feel
you're
more confident
for
that
for yourself.
I didn't pass it along to my clients, so which is nice.
Yeah. We where I work, it's a preschool, so with the children, we still are mandated to wear masks. So that's still happening at our center, of the centers that we run. But with stuff still spreading, everyone's sick every second. It's just what's happening right now. And people need to not complain that people get sick because it happens.
I will tell you what, though. The school has been not, like, normally, like, before COVID. I'm sorry, I'm opening up a seltzer right now. Don't mind me.
You should do it right now, too, while you're opening it so that...
There!
We could be like a commercial. I don't want to be a...
Oh, yeah, the caramel one's really gross.
I don't want to be an advertisement for
I'll
this.
Drink it anyway.
Because it's gross.
Actually... The caramel one is not as terrible as I thought. The caramel one, the caramel one's the best one.
We've talked about these before, and they're the weirdest drinks ever because they're seltzer, but they have coffee flavor. So they have a seltzer texture and waterness in it. However, there's
and no sweetness.
No sweetness, but there's a coffee flavor with a flavoring on top of the coffee. So
yeah, and I'm a black coffee drinker, so like that's not like non-sweet coffee.
I don't need sweet coffee, but it's weird because it's not what I expect it to be. And so you drink it and you're just like, wow.
I'm drinking it and it's fine, but I probably would never buy them again. But
no, I'm not going to go out my way for this.
I'm not gagging on it.
But I'm not dying from it either, so.
No, that's fine.
There we go.
Yeah.
I don't really, I'm just waiting for summer to start because I work until July 1st and I have 6 weeks off of gloriousness and I cannot wait.
I know.
So
I'm
close.
actually trying to, I like to crochet. I knit, but crochet is my jam because I've been crocheting since I was like 8. My grandmother taught me. And so this year I got this bug in my head that I want to do a craft fair because I've never done one. So like I'm furiously at home crocheting stuff. And my husband's like, what are you doing with all this stuff? I go, I want to sell it. He was like, all right. So we're going to attempt. We're going to try it.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of fartsy stuff this summer to sell and my photography.
We should do a craft fair together.
We should do a craft fair together.
Even if
it'd be fun. I did a craft fair for my photography before,
mm-hmm.
which was cool. But I've done a few for photography, but I've never done one where I made stuff and sold it. So I think I maybe should do that. It'd be fun. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's start the episode.
Yes,
now that we've made our plans.
I'm ready.
Okay. So this week I stumbled across this and I was like, I need to read more about this. And I went back and forth. Do I want to do this or don't I want to do this? And I decided to go in on it because it's fascinating to me how genetics work, where people like. I've always had this fascination about how dialect is, like how people talk in certain areas. Like you can be from the same state, but if you're downstate, you talk different than your upstate.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then within your whole country,
some slang like "wicked" is totally a northern New York.
Yeah,
we say that up here, but they don't say it anywhere else.
Right.
I
think Massachusetts they might say it.
They might. Wicked.
It's wicked, man.
Wicked bad.
I can't talk like a Boston person. I'm from New York.
Did you know that the guy who plays the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz is from Boston?
Oh yeah, I knew that.
It's no hot.
No hot.
No,
I can do hot.
Hot.
And I'm a huge Bruins fan. I think I could really, but no. Anyway, I've always had a fascination with that. I've always had a fascination of, I don't even know what you call it, but you ever heard, the Lasting Bush people that were on, they had a TV show, a reality show.
Wasn't that Jules' parents?
No.
They had a reality show.
No, it wasn't Jules' parents.
No, okay.
They're the Alaskan Bush people, and they lived. I don't know if it was all real or not, because reality, who cares? But not really they all lived they built their own home in the woods. They lived away from everyone, and they all had the same accent that no one else would have had. A very muffled way, nasally way of talking, and it was because they were only around each other. Fascinating to me, that kind of stuff.
Even now, like the Mennonites and the Amish people
have accents.
They have their own accent.
Yeah, like
and
an old
really
Dutch
weird. Yeah, it's like a Pennsylvania Dutch thing.
Yeah,
and all the Mennonites, to me, no matter if they're from Pennsylvania or from New York, they have the same accent.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like how where you live and like your isolation maybe mm-hmm. even can make you form your own whatevers, like your own way of talking, your own languages, your own. And you evolve in that environment. So this has to do, not really a dialect at all, but it has to do with isolation and genetics.
Crazy.
So this is called the Blue People of Kentucky.
Not the bluegrass.
No, the Blue People.
The Blue People.
Not Kentucky Bluegrass.
Kentucky Blue People.
Kentucky Blue People. Not Kentucky Fried People or chicken, but so
we probably will hit that topic at some point.
Yes,
with fried people. Yeah,
fried people. I'm sure.
I talked about fried people in my episode.
They were boiled.
Yeah,
in oil. That's
fried.
Right.
Some of them were fried.
Oh, they were. Yeah, actually. Yeah. So in 1975, there was a baby born near Hazard, Kentucky, not like the Dukes of Hazard County.
I was getting all excited.
I know. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
He was born with dark blue skin, and his name was Benjy Stacy.
What year was this?
This was in 1975.
So this is not that long ago.
No, this is not that long ago. They rushed him to the University of Kentucky's clinic, medical clinic, because they were alarmed by this dark blue child.
Maybe they thought he was cyanotic or something.
Yes. So they were not sure what was going on. They were very alarmed until his grandmother got there and spoke up and said, "Haven't you heard of the Blue Fugates from Troublesome Creek?" Which sounds like a freaking, like something out of a movie. I was like, I want to meet this grandma. I want her to say that to me. Like, in my head, that's what she said. Haven't you ever heard of the people? Sorry,
You get some Troublesome Creek?
We're Northern New Yorkers. I am not Southerner, but in my head, I can do a real good Southern accent.
Fantastic.
And the doctors were like, can you explain more? And then Benjy's dad, his name is Elva Stacy, and he told them about his grandmother. So Elva's grandmother, so Benjy's great-grandmother, was a blue Fugate. She was the bluest of the Fugates. That sets a tone for the story.
I have to look up to see if there's pictures.
Oh, there are.
I need to see pictures of this.
So the story actually starts 150 years before Benjy was born.
Crazy.
And it involves genetics and geography. Right? Let me see if you're seeing it right. Yeah.
Holy crap. Like, oh my god, they're blue.
They're blue.
They're freaking blue.
They're like Smurfs.
They are.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah.
It looks like when something's filmed in black and white and then they color it and they only color part of it.
Yeah. No, they're blue.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. So the whole story starts in 1850.
Okay.
And it revolves around genetics and geography, like I said. Martin Fugate settled in Troublesome Creek in 1820. Although there's nothing in writing stating that he was blue himself, family lore says he was. But there's nothing written down saying Martin Fugate was blue. But family says Martin Fugate was the first blue Fugate.
It's amazing that for the time that they weren't just stoned to death or hanged or something.
I know.
Well,
and where they lived really made the difference. So he actually married a pale redhead named Elizabeth Smith, who they say is like the palest person ever. So they both are like very,
yes,
have very different complexions probably than many people in the area. And most likely because we're in rural Kentucky, they probably were related. And I'm not bashing people of Kentucky saying they're inbred. But at the time, and where they're located, as I talk, you're going to see, they probably were related.
There's tons of people. My grandparents were related, so I'm like, they're from New York State. So,
right.
Just saying.
It happens.
Yeah, especially then.
Yeah, exactly, especially then. So Elizabeth and Martin had 7 children. 4 of those children were blue.
Out of 7?
Out of 7. Over half, obviously. Then they had no clue why these kids... I mean, they're blue, okay. They're alive, they're breathing, they're running around. I guess they're okay. But back in rural Kentucky, there were no roads, no railroads. And the railroad didn't make it there until 1910. And even when the railroad got there, it was like 30 years before roads were going through the area that they lived in. So they were in a very isolated, back, like, hollow, in the holler. Like, they were way back up in... their hills. So they're way out in the middle of nowhere. So it was just them.
Right.
For the most part. So because they're so isolated, this led to intermarriage within the community that was in this area because everyone was related to each other.
Yes.
Martin and Elizabeth's son Zachary, he wasn't blue. He was one of the non-blue children. He ended up marrying his mother's sister, so his aunt. Their children were blue.
Because he had the gene.
Yeah, so they ended up... So as time goes on... So as the other siblings and his children... And Zachary's children get older and his siblings get older, the siblings and the cousins and the aunts and uncles, they all get married. Like, they're the only people around here.
Right.
They didn't have any other people to marry. In isolation... Like... Back then, marrying your relative really wasn't frowned on. No one really thought... Because they're literally in the middle of nowhere and they would find no one else to marry, and this is just what we do. But we know why you don't do that.
Yes.
Because it's not... It creeps me out.
It's icky.
I don't want to judge people because I don't know them and I wasn't there and I don't know what it's like to live back in 1850.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, we're like...
Eek. But if that's all you know,
I know,
right? It's not wrong because that's what you do. My father married his aunt, so I'm going to marry my cousin. Like, to them, it was normal.
But I guess they said that marrying your cousin isn't as genetically bad as people make it out to be because the genes are so far distant.
But what about your aunt?
But even so, like, I don't know, like, your cousin is like
No,
it's like
we're cousins.
I know, and it's like your sibling. You know what I mean?
That's why I feel like we're sisters.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess and then they're always together.
Colleen had cousins that were not blood related to me, but they're still my cousins, even
right.
though they're
we
not.
Felt like that.
Yeah, because we're very close.
Right.
Our families are very close. Like our moms are very close. So, yeah.
With all this happening, more blue babies were being born. Blue babies coming out left and right.
I bet.
And they became known in this area of Kentucky as the Blue Fugates, which was their last name, Fugates. Or they are also called the Blue People of Kentucky. And now there were surrounding communities that were farther away, and there was no way that these people from other communities were going to marry a Fugate because you're going to have blue kids. So even if they wanted to not marry their cousin, sister, aunt, no one's going to marry you because you have blue kids. Yeah. Right? So they're like, no.
Like, even if you don't look blue, they're going to have blue kids.
Yeah, like this family is making blue babies left and right. So the Fugates ended up marrying other Fugate cousins, and their names were last names were Combs, Ritchie, Smith, and Stacy. So these were all interrelated people in this area. Because they're all marrying each other, so they're all related. One of Zachary's son, his name is Levi, and he married someone from the Ritchie family. So she was a cousin of his, and he ended up marrying her. They had 8 children together, and one of them was the great-grandmother of Benjy Stacy, who was born in 1975, Luna, who was the bluest of all the Fugates there were. So Luna would have been Martin's granddaughter, and then Luna had her child, who had Elva, who had Benjy. So that's the tree of how Benjy got blue. Okay. Because he comes from Luna. Luna comes from Zachary. Zachary comes from Martin, the first blue Fugate.
Okay.
So that's the back story of the family. Now, like I said, they said she was the bluest of all the ones. Very dark blue. They said her lips were so dark they looked bruised. Like they were a little purple. They were so blue. John Stacy, who was another cousin of
I want to have a friend that's blue.
I think it's kind of cool.
I want a blue friend.
So John Stacy is another cousin of the whole
Fugate clan.
Saw Luna at church services and fell in love with her. Probably because she was blue and that's cool looking. Like I looked totally. She might have been beautiful. I don't know. They married and they had 13 children.
It's like Avatar. They're blue, right?
Yeah.
That chick was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, she's an alien. It's fine.
So the crazy thing about these blue Fugates, these blue people of Kentucky, one of them super healthy. Like they'll live to be in their 80s and 90s, which is crazy because thinking of the late 1800s, people weren't living to be and so much so that they barely got sick. So they have fantastic immune systems apparently. She passed away when she was 83, I believe. Her husband, John Stacy, when it was interviewed in the 80s, when they asked him about Luna's skin, if it was her blue skin, if Luna had blue skin, he just shook his head and wouldn't talk about it. And they said he never mentioned her blue skin. Ever talked about her blue skin. He just pretended it wasn't there. I don't know. It's weird. And I don't think any of her children had blue skin.
Even though she was super blue?
Even though she was the bluest of all the Fugates. So in 1960, Dr. Madison Caywin II, he was a hematologist at the University of Kentucky Lexington Medical Center. He had heard the rumors of the blue Fugates. And he's a hematologist, so he's like, I need to find these people. So it led him on a search he wanted to do research. He wanted to figure out why these people were blue. This is crazy to me. So his search landed him in Hazard, Kentucky. I just want to say Hazard County so bad because I used to watch the Dixie Hazard all the time. Hazard County. The American Heart Association had a clinic there. And he went into there to set his office up because he knew the blue people of Kentucky were around Hazard, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. So he meets a nurse. Her name's Ruth Pendergrass. And she also has a big interest in the blue people of Kentucky because she's met one of them before that came into the clinic needing a blood test. And she said that she looked so blue that she thought she was having a heart attack and couldn't breathe. She had no clue that was just her skin color. She said that their last name was Combs, which is a sibling. They come from Ball County. No, Balls Creek, sorry, is where they come from. And they're siblings to the Fugates. So they are also Fugates because they just have a different
If you think about, you said that Martin was the first one that was blue. The first one that was recorded blue. Who knows if there were other babies born that were killed because they were blue.
Or, his children are the first ones recorded blue. There's no recording of Martin being blue. It's just family said he was. His 4 children that were blue were the first recorded people that were blue.
Right. So, I mean, even before him, there might have been ones that were blue that they didn't talk about, or maybe
no one knew.
Back then, they might have just went out.
Or they thought they were dead because they were blue. I don't know.
Or they thought they were cursed and they left them in the woods.
Exactly.
Because that's
a sign of God. They always thought that stuff.
Back then.
Witch did it, something. Nurse Pendergrass was like, I'm going to help you do this because this is fascinating to me too. I want to find out why these people are blue. This is crazy. So she helps him. While they're in the clinic one day, Patrick and Rachel Ritchie walk in. Ritchie's, our cousins, are related to the Fugates. And Dr. Kaywin said, they were bluer than hell. That was his quoted words. They were bluer than hell. He conducted tests to conclude that it wasn't heart disease. He wanted to make sure it was lungs or heart wasn't causing this first. That's the first thing he knew. And then him and Nurse Pendergrass started asking questions. Do you have blue relatives? Other people that are blue? And they're like, yeah, we have an uncle and an aunt and blah, blah, blah. So they're like, take us to your blue people.
We want to figure this out.
So they drove.
I would be the same. I'd be like, I need to know you people because you're blue and it's awesome.
I know.
Oh my God.
So they took an 8-hour trip to Harbleberry, Kentucky. So Patrick and Rachel heard that this guy wanted to. Apparently, according to the doctor, Patrick and Rachel were very embarrassed about their blue skin. And I could see, especially in the 60s, I mean, people of color had a hard time. Can you imagine if you were a color that no one saw before?
Right.
So they wouldn't even come into the waiting room. They waited in the hallway. They wouldn't go into the room. They didn't want people to see them. And that's what brought them there because they wanted, like, can you fix us? Like, they didn't want to be that way, which is really sad.
So sad.
Yeah. And, like, they were kind of basically accepted in Troublesome County because everyone just knew them. It was known back in the 1800s. So it wasn't, they didn't want to marry them, but no one was treated in, but other parts of Kentucky, they were shunned. So it was just dependent on where you were. Which is kind of like everything,
People
I guess.
Suck.
I know.
So bad.
So the first person they saw was Patrick and Rachel's Uncle Zach. He was very blue. He's 76-year-old patriarch of the family, and he lived in Troublesome Creek. So once they got to Zach's house, he took them farther into Copperhead Hollow, which I love the name of that.
I love all these names.
I know. To see Aunt Bessie.
Troublesome Creek in
Copperhead Hollow.
Copperhead Hollow. I want to go there.
I know.
That sounds fun.
They went to see Aunt Bessie Fugate.
Aunt Bessie
Fugate.
In Copperhead Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
She was super blue also. And Aunt Bessie lived in a old shack in the woods, basically.
Awesome.
And she had a big kettle out front boiling her clothes, washing them.
Oh my God.
And they all consented to give blood samples to the doctor and the nurse. Mm-hmm. So they collected the blood samples and ended up going back to the clinic to study it. So Dr. Cowan, he actually found a report from E.M. Scott in the Journal of Clinical Investigation in 1960 that he conducted, so Dr. Scott conducted this, on Alaskan Eskimos with a rare blood disorder that turned them blue. So using the research from the study and studying the blood samples, he concluded that the Fugates carry a rare hereditary blood disorder that causes excessive levels of methemoglobin in the blood.
Which is B12.
Yeah.
Methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin. No?
Methemoglobin.
Huh.
See? That's how you spell it.
Methemoglobin.
Methemoglobin. Yeah, that's it.
Methemoglobin.
The excessive methemoglobin affects the hemoglobin so that it can't carry oxygen through the blood like it's supposed to, causing the skin to look blue and the blood to be chocolate colored because it's not oxygenated like normal.
But that would affect their energy levels and stuff too.
Only one person that I saw said they had difficulty breathing, but other than that, it wasn't an issue. They were super healthy.
This is what caused them as well. Like the Eskimos or the Fugates?
Well, the Eskimos was the same thing. This can be hereditary, like the Fugates case. They're saying that theirs has to be hereditary. It's obviously going down the line. Or it can be caused by exposure to certain medicines like benzocaine and xylocaine, nitrates in meat additives, or antibiotics.
Hot dogs.
Yeah.
Bacon.
I love them.
So good turn you blue.
That's all right.
Good turn you blue.
I'm all right with that. However, that kind of exposure wouldn't lead to the long-term discoloration or being able to pass it on to your babies. Like, it's not, it wasn't, so they knew it had to be this disorder. And there's a really long name for it, and it's really long, you can Google it. Like, there's like it's disproportionate anyway. The hemoglobin and the methaglobin are disproportionate in your blood. So, the Fugates carry between 10 to 20% of the
methemoglobin.
Thank you. In the blood. And if it was any higher than 20%, they would have died. They had like this perfect amount in their blood that just made them blue, and that was it. No other effects.
Crazy.
But if they had any more than 20%, they would have had seizures and died. Or it could have affected their heart, or it could have caused all these things. But they just said that they were like the perfect storm.
I was hoping you were going to say they had some weird kind of melanin that was blue.
No. So, like I said, the methemoglobin overpowered the hemoglobin, which makes our skin appear pink in Caucasians. Mm-hmm. Gives us that ruby face. So,
I've got that.
Yes. This blood disorder is a result of a recessive gene that is required. So to have it show up in you.
They blush blue. When they blush, their cheeks turn blue. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Both parents had to have that recessive gene.
Right.
For a child to have it. And that typically, the reason why it was so strong in the bloodline was because they intermarried.
Right.
There was inbreeding happening. Because the odds of two people meeting and having the same recessive gene, which is so rare, is like so low. And then when you do have that gene and it passes on, it's only 24% chance that it will pass on and they'll be blue. So it's even a lower. So this interbreeding really pumped up the chances of this happening. So now that the doctor knew what was causing the blueness, he developed a treatment. His thoughts. Add more blue. So he said the best way to treat. So it's called methemoglemia, like anemia, because of the blood. It was to use methylene blue dye. And this could change the methemoglobin into hemoglobin. So it'll offset that overpowering of the methemoglobin. So he put the blue dye. So you have to first inject it slowly. So him and the nurse, Pendergrass, packed up, drove up to see Patrick and Rachel, and like, we think we got this figured out. So they injected them both with 100 milligrams of methylene blue. Within a short period of time, they turned pink. And were extremely thrilled. They've never seen themselves not blue. Since the dye is excreted in the urine, it was only temporary.
Right.
But he left them with pills. As long as they took the pills, they would stay pink. So Rachel and Patrick got to lead normal lives after this because they took the pill. Like I said, the intermarriages, inbreeding, marrying your cousin, whatever, having babies with your relative wasn't really frowned on back then. But the blue Fugates really put a damper on people wanting to do it because they're like, that's not right. They're blue.
That shouldn't happen.
That shouldn't be a thing that happens. So it kind of started that people not in that area, like, I'm not marrying my cousin because I'm afraid blue babies will come out. Like, that kind of a thing.
Right.
So that family, when someone saw them blue, they were like, blue and inbred went right together. So this family was like cursed with people thinking they were a bunch of inbred freaks in the hills when they weren't anymore. Right. It just got passed through their family line. So Patrick and Rachel weren't marrying their cousin, but they got treated like they were because they were blue. So that kind of went together. Once they got them worked out, they decided they wanted to figure out how this all started. So they used the Perry County history. That was the county that that family lived in, along with the Fugate family Bibles, which old-timey, like, holler people.
Yeah, but even my the Woodruffs and the Doctors.
Yeah,
old
family
Bibles with stuff written in
and
it.
It has the ancestry written in it.
Right.
Which is fascinating. I think people still write that down somewhere in their house.
Especially my dad's side of the family, the Woodruffs, they have a freaking hardcover book of their genealogy that's like an inch and a half thick. It's like, it goes way back to like...
Right, forever.
Captain Cook and before that.
It's crazy.
It's insane. I'm like, to know that much about your history. And they had that before genealogy was a thing. Like, It's just because...
The family just kept going.
Yes.
And that's what this family did also. So they were able to trace it back, the bloodline back to Martin Fugate, as where it all began. So Martin just happened to decide to marry Elizabeth, who just happened to both of them have that recessive gene. So it was freak. It was a freak thing.
And the two of them weren't related.
I don't know.
They probably were, but
some things say that...
It's like my grandparents were 6th or 7th cousins, which is like far enough where it's not...
Yeah.
But like my grandfather was a Woodruff, my grandmother was a Doctor. Where we live, like people think of like, the old Woodruff Hotel in the square. The Woodruff that built that was my grandmother, who was a Doctor, was his descendant. So it's like, even though, like, it was the two brothers, and my grandmother was from one brother, and, like, my grandfather, who's a Woodruff, was not the direct descendant of the Woodruff who built the Woodruff Hotel. It was my grandmother.
So crazy.
Who wasn't a Woodruff.
That makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Now, some say that he was a French immigrant that settled there. So, but then I read other things that said that they were related. So I'm like, if he was a French immigrant, how can they be related if she lived there? You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. I don't, it's vague, that part. So either way, the blueness, they both had that recessive gene, which, what are the odds of that happening unless you're then when you start, your kids start sleeping with your aunt.
Yeah, but I mean, think about Louisiana. They're Creole, right? So that's like from, like, most of the people, like the settlers, I think were from France. Like, they were French speaking. So maybe
he was in Louisiana and then went over to Kentucky.
Could be. They're neighbors, right? Don't they touch?
I don't know. I'm bad at geography.
I think they do.
They're all down there somewhere.
They're down.
So I just, you know what the states are to me? I know there's the eastern states. I know they're in the east. I know there's western states in there. I know there's mid-western states. I know they're there. And I know there's southern states. And it's just like you take the states and you put them in a bag and you shake them up and you just pull them out. That's what states are to me. I know generally they're in different bags. East,
don't travel
west, north,
with Colleen
south.
If she doesn't have a GPS.
I can look at a map and follow it.
For sure.
But I cannot tell you the order of the states at all. I know what borders us, but I can't tell you what borders other states. I don't know. I know when I lived in Colorado, Nebraska was right there. But other than that, I don't know where anything else was. I don't know where where's Oregon? I don't know. It's over there by Colorado, but somewhere.
Oregon,
I know Seattle's
on the top. Like, Oregon is right over there by Washington on the East Coast. Yeah. They're Pacific Northwest.
They're west, yeah.
Pacific Northwest.
I know where that is.
Yes.
I know the general vicinity, but I don't know how they connect to each other.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I know Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York. I got the East Coast down.
There's also Rhode Island and Delaware around there, too.
I don't know where they are, though.
Connecticut.
None of it makes sense to my brain.
Mm.
But that's okay. I don't need to. I'm not a map person. I'm not a geography person. I just get in the car and go.
We have Vermont, and then we have Pennsylvania.
I know Vermont and Pennsylvania touch us.
In New Jersey.
I don't like to talk about it. I mean, New Jersey's great.
It's the Garden State. Unless you're in the city, and then it smells like rotten eggs. Which most cities do, so, you know.
So, back to this. Anyway, Dr. Kawen ended up publishing his research in 1964, and you can find it in the Archives of Internal Medicine, and you can Google that online and read about it if you would like to.
I might.
So, let's get back to Benjy, who was born in 1975, who's only 2 years older than us. Or me. 3.
He's a year older than me.
3. Yeah.
So I'm 76.
It's 2 years older than me.
1 year older.
1 older than you. I can't do math.
We forget that.
I can't do geography.
That I'm older sometimes.
Yeah. I can't do geography and I can't do math. All right, and I can't talk. So there you go. All the subjects I ruined. All right. So he eventually actually ended up going to a normal color. By the time he was 7, he was devoid of blue coloring, which led to doctors believing he only had one of the recessive genes, and it came out at first, and then his other stuff overcompensated. And as the gene pool of the Fugate family and the Combs and the Richies and everything started to dissipate. They started to wash themselves out. You know what I mean? Because the railroad came in, and then mining happened, and people were going all over the place. So they're marrying other people, so the gene wasn't showing up, and babies weren't being. However, some say still, and Benjy, one of them, when he's cold or gets angry, that blue shows up in his face, in his hands. He'll get like purple fingernails.
Cool.
So that's still that. It's like a little sign of the Fugates still there, you know.
That's kind of awesome.
And like they say, anger makes them so. Yeah, blushing makes them blue, basically.
Blush blue.
Yeah, interesting.
That is interesting.
If there was a diverse gene pool, this type of recessive trait would have been washed out in the bloodline. It wouldn't have probably even spread. You know, like if Martin was really blue and he married someone without that recessive gene, his kids probably would never have been blue. They might have got blue fingertips when they got mad or something, but it would never have happened. So the isolation of being there, plus 2 recessive gene people, made it like the perfect environment to continue on that blue bloodline.
Cool.
It's very cool.
It is cool. This was a very me episode, Colleen.
Yeah, it was very scientific, wasn't it?
It's a very sciencey one.
Yeah.
You're usually the spooky one, and I'm the sciencey one. Usually, but not all the time.
Right. So, Blue Fugates, the Blue People of Kentucky. Interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Bizarre.
Yes.
Not sad.
Weird. Definitely weird.
Definitely weird. Not anything too emotional. Not anything too gruesome. I think it was a good, lighthearted episode. Because last episode, I talked about chainsaws cutting your vagina open.
Talked about
and you talked about executions.
Which
So
was
we've had some heavy episodes. So this was not so bad. And then the easy cure. And the cool thing is they weren't, even though they were blue, and I'm sure it led.
How'd you find this?
I don't know. You know, I'm looking up bizarre history, but you know how they say your research, if once you die, people are going to think you're crazy.
Yeah, and
the FBI better not look.
I only do research now on the Cousins Weird Gmail profile, so that it's all shared. So if you go in the search history, you'll see all the shit I've searched.
Interesting. I don't do that, so I should do that.
I was doing it on my other one, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to switch this over. Because I kept going back and forth because we use a Google Doc thing. Yeah. And I'm like, why am I not just searching on this? This is dumb. I'm like, this is a way better idea. And then it keeps all the crazy in one spot. It doesn't keep all, because I am crazy all the time. But, you know.
It keeps all our questionable research in one spot.
Yes. And it's more like, oh, yeah, this is a podcast thing.
Yeah.
So,
that makes sense why she's looking up
torture devices
and chainsaw vagina and openings.
Rabbit women giving birth to rabbits. Because, that was an episode. Go listen. That was one of my favorite ones to research. Because it was... I surprised Colleen with that one, and it was wonderful. The look on her face was quite fantastic. Yeah. Because nobody expected it to go there. No. And it totally went there. I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my story of the Blue Fugates, and I am fascinated by anything like that. And I really like that whole isolation genetics, like the perfect storm was created.
Yes.
That family, and they were blue. And what an easy fix.
Yes.
Like, they just need to take this pill and they would be pink. I don't know. Like, I get, like, the blue, I get people are horrible in our world, and they're just, anyone different, they treat them horrible. And they're ostracized, and they're treated differently, and they, whatever. And I get that the blue was, like, basically synonymous with inbreeding, and it's shunned and all that, which, just don't marry.
Don't marry your cousin.
I don't want to judge anyone. Like, I can't.
Or your aunt or your uncle.
But I don't condone it. But, whatever, I guess, floats your boat. But this was a different time. So, I don't even judge it. I don't know where I was going with this thought. But.
Because people are judgy.
Because people are judgy and awful. However, I kind of think being blue is cool.
I do too.
I think that's super cool. And there was that one guy that took silver.
Colloidal silver.
Colloidal silver, and he was blue.
It's like a gray color.
No, he was blue.
There's that one woman.
They called him Papa Smurf.
There was that one woman who was the head of that cult that turned herself blue with colloidal silver. And then when she died, the cult members kept her in the room and basically mummified her.
Why don't we do an episode on this?
This is recent. Maybe we should.
I have to see.
I just watched a thing on it, and it was just like
Look at this man.
Oh, because it's like a gray blue. Yeah, but he's got white hair and a white beard and mustache.
Papa
He
Smurf.
totally looks like Papa Smurf.
Yeah. He was called the real Papa Smurf.
That is not good for you.
That can't be good.
That is not healthy.
He's like metallic looking.
It is because he literally has silver
in his
body.
He swears by it too. Well, he's dead now, but he didn't die from that. He died from something different. I can't remember what. He was older anyway.
I knew that. Drinking lots of carrots can turn your footprints orange too.
Oh yeah.
And your palms of your hands and your soles of your
feet. You can sweat it. Out.
My
There's a lot of weird things.
Out. It smells like kimchi. Like
I smell like
garlic and ginger.
I smell like protein.
I smell like my deodorant.
I do right now. I'm just saying.
I just ordered the new Lumi stick deodorant.
Did you?
And some other acidified body wash. I'm trying it
out.
I
wanted to try that body wash.
They had a special Mother's Day package.
Why didn't I get that?
It came with a tube and a stick and the wipes, like the armpit wipe. Yeah, the body wipes, and then a little sample size of which is like still perfect for travel size of the acidified body wash.
I wanted to try that too.
It worked really good on my stanky pits. It did.
I just think that's a cool idea. I like it. Anyway, Margaret,
we are going to be at AnchorCon.
August 20th
and the 21st. Yay! Come see us. We're going to do a live show. We have to contact them to see what day, because they probably know at this point.
Yeah, we'll have to ask.
They haven't told us.
We'll share it out.
And we'll have a table. We'll have some goodies. So
come see us. And then, spend the day at the AnchorCon. It's super fun. I went last year with my nephew, because he loves any con. He just went to MegaCon in Florida.
There's the Jefferson County ones this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We have to go there next year.
Yeah, I know. We'll get ourselves everywhere.
We're gonna be everywhere.
But it's really fun. You should go, and there's gonna be some famous people there, and famous movie cars from like cool movies like Ghostbusters and stuff like that. And so that's exciting. You should follow us on Facebook so that you know what day we're gonna be there, and so you'll never miss an episode. Follow us on Instagram so you never miss an episode. Subscribe to our podcast on your platform of choice. And you should rate us while you're at it, because it helps us be put out into the universe to other people.
Yes. And if you'd like to send us an email, you can, if you have a request for something you want us to cover, a topic, anything like that. If you have a weird, spooky story you want to tell us, send it to us. We want to hear it.
We want to know.
And you can send it to thecousinsweird@gmail.com.
And if you want to support our podcast, you can share us. That's the best way to do it. Share us to your friends. Share us on Facebook, on Instagram. Share our episodes. It gets us out into other people and puts us out into the universe. And we like that. Because the more you do that, the more listeners we get. And last month was awesome. And we love you guys for it. That you helped us hit our a record month of listens.
I have to say something too. Episode 1, the Winchester House, has had 100 downloads.
Woo! You made it!
I've been watching it. It's like, oh my god, we're at 93. Oh my god, we're at 95. Oh my god. And then I go, I haven't checked. It's exactly 100. So
it's a day to celebrate. Now listen, you might think 100 is not big of a deal. Listen, that's big stuff for us. That's a big deal for us, and we're going to fly on this momentum. So another way you can support us is through Patreon. It's patreon.com/thecousinsweird. For $1 a month, you're a freaky friend, and you get a free sticker and bonus episodes. And then for $5 a month, you get you're a terrible trender, and you get a free sticker, a yearly gift, bonus episodes, ad-free episodes, and a monthly chat. I remembered them all.
You did. Woohoo!
So you can do that. But like we said, sharing us and following us on the platform of your choice and rating us on the platform are the best ways to support us.
Yes, really.
We appreciate it.
Please go out and do that. Share us with your friends on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, whatever. We appreciate it.
Word of mouth.
Yes. So I think that wraps it up. And stay freaky.
Bye.
Bye.